So we're on the home straight. We've got everything set up now. The report is there. A couple of little details that we'll go through today, but it's published up, and we'll start to go through what's the point, How do we get that worked in, and how do we pull and replace a report? Because that's something you've got to do. And it's different with this, isn't it, to how we would do it corporately, but a lot of the rules still apply. All right, so here we are. Welcome along, all that stuff, yeah. How we're doing. So what we've got now, we've gone through everything, haven't we? We've built our relationships, we've built our data flows, we've done all the main things we need to do. We've got the visualizations, plans. It's there now, isn't it? We've got everything built. It's now publishing time. So one of the things that we need to cover with this is around when you publish your reports corporately, right? Hopefully you're using your workspaces effectively and you're using the apps. So you can have kind of a structured view for that. And that's a vital way to do it. With this, it's a bit different and it's worth looking at, because what we might find is that there are things that you are doing that are just as bad or that will affect you as well. So this is me report, isn't it? Okay. I've got this all set up, all built now. And I'm thinking, it's looking at this like, I've seen worse, I've seen better as well, I have to say. I'm kind of at the point where there's bits I like, there's bits I don't like. And that, I think, is important for you to realise as well. Because the reality of this is, no matter what you do, you're going to look and go, oh, I don't like that bit, I don't like that bit. Okay, that's normal. Okay? As you get better as a developer, you'll be more able to channel that and rewrite and restructure things that you don't like or that you feel should be a little bit different. The problem comes if you stop moving forward because you want to keep tweaking. Does that make sense? So what you need to do is get to that point where you're going, I'm going to go live with this, and then we'll do iterative improvements because other people have said, do you know what? I didn't like that bit, or oh, it'd be really good if. So that's kind of part of the realities that you're going to face. So here we go. This is the report that we've got, right? I've got my nice little flyout work in here, haven't we? Okay. We've got our event selection, so we can pick an event and go and view it. We can come back. It's all there. The question is always going to be around, what else can we do? What's the next step? Okay. So one thing I've mentioned already, and I know, is around these text boxes and how they've changed going forward, like text boxes 2.0. So I've really kind of pushed that with this here, like this event summary below. So we've put in like the average number of volunteers we've got. We've put in actually how many events we've had, the total distance. People like that total distance count. And I've put in as well the difference between our all finishers. So that's what parkrun records as your finishers versus our registered finishers. So how many people have actually had their barcode scanned and are registered now as a proper finisher of Jesmond Dean Parkrun, and not just pretending people who've never done it really. I've got the event stuff. So if you hover over it, it gives you information about the event. Okay. Let me zoom in on that. So we can get information about an event there, can't we? So we can see, oh, this is great. This is what's happened there. Just summary information. Big thing with this is it's really stats heavy. And this is something that, for me, I find Power BI can do really well, especially when you start combining your drill throughs, your flyouts, everything that we've got here. Because don't forget, this chart here is doing an awful lot of duty. And what it's effectively doing is it's going, we've got the color of the bar, which relates to if the participation on the day was above the average of the overall age grade. So if it's above, it's blue. If it's below, it's gray. And then we've got, when we hover, we've got details as well, haven't we? We've got information about that specific event. So we can see here who the first female finisher was, who the first male finisher was, how many volunteers were involved, how many finishers we had, what the total number from parkrun were, the all finishers, and of course the event number and the date. So we've got a lot happening, stats heavy, right? And this is what people want with parkrun. A lot of sporting events, people want, I want stats. So it does it very well. What I've also done, and we'll cut over that in a second, is we've rewritten the whole import script. And the import here is a lot quicker. It's performing a lot better. Now it's a function. I'll do some further testing on it, because what I've done, don't forget with this, I've built this in a premium capacity workspace, not premium capacity, in a premium per person workspace. So it's my premium per person. So I've got different capabilities, but I will switch it over into the Jesmond Dean Parkrun workspace, which isn't premium capacity, and we'll see how that goes as well. But what we'll do next week as our final kind of piece, as we do the whole cut over to it, is we'll go in and we'll have a look at what it looks like with it all written in data flows. Because of course you can use data flows that are fed by data flows. So in theory, we can then get to the point where we're not combining all our groups of 5 event data flows in our PBIX file, but we're doing that within our data flow. And then because it's in a data flow, all our PBIX is having to do is pick up a single table for the participation. Because don't forget, it's a single table, and then we're splitting that out, aren't we? Well, there's 2 tables, isn't there? We've got like the events history table and the events. And we pull those 2 together, and then we're ripping the people out of the participation, ripping them out, right? Okay. So it's all there. But this here, I think, is working pretty well, isn't it? So you've got your filters here, and we can pick and we can choose to look at what's going on. Okay. We can see things will filter through and we'll update. I think there's some stuff still to do around these visual headers. I need to just check where we've got some visual headers. I haven't picked, and I've deliberately not picked, visual headers as a whole, right, or hidden visual headers as a whole, because some I potentially want people to be able to use the visual headers. Like here, for example, where people could then actually look and extract the data if they really want to. I can't remember if you can on the free viewing, but I've gone with a hybrid approach. So obviously a lot of the stuff we don't. Obviously we've got the links in to take you to the Jesmond Dean Parkrun site, right? Got the event selection. For the people, I've just pulled in what we had before. I've looked at it, I don't like it. It's not quite doing what I want, but I can't think of a better way of doing it either. I'm sitting going like, answers on a postcard or suggestions down below, and we'll try and work out what a people profile should look like. But it's there, isn't it? It's easy to navigate, I think. If we go to a particular event, in fact, let's go to the latest event, event 40. Okay, we've got here, we can see the finishers. We can see we had somebody came and actually broke the course record last week. Fantastic. Used the text boxes again. Honestly, these new text boxes, they're great. Once you start to get used to them and what you need to do to make them work, right? I used to write DAX titles all the time. And it's just, write DAX titles, DAX, right? And you'd use it and you do it and you do it and you do it and you keep doing it. And this way, honestly, much quicker. Text box, do the title in the text box. It works as well, because DAX titles don't work properly if you want to embed them then as the title to a visual. If you can't write them on a secondary report yet and embed them in as the visual title. Yeah, that's what I mean. So you'd end up having to write that and then put it as a category, and it never looked good. Right, with this, you can see we can bold elements of it. We can do things. So it's all like, oh, I can read. This is great. So it works. Dead good. I like it. We've got everything we want here, haven't we? So you hover over it, gives you that. We can click on that and it'll take me to that person's parkrun page. It's awesome. Right? Because I've got that in and working, what I'm not going to do, I think, and I was thinking through the right way to do it, is we're not going to pull in people's total parkruns ever. Because if we think about it, we're going to be locked at their last participation at Jesmond Dean in terms of the way we go. We're not pulling all their records. So it would potentially, for somebody who came and did it once 2 years ago, in the future, it's going to be inaccurate, isn't it? And that's a problem for me. We need accuracy. So we know how many parkruns you've done officially here, which we can then register and say you've done X many parkruns. Right? So we can see this guy done it once. Boom. Flew around. Amazing time. Fantastic. Really was. Honestly, he was flying. And it's all there. So it picks it in, it goes through, it's working really well. So let's cut an hour and have a look-see and see exactly how we build the function and what it takes to get a function in that works for Power BI. All right, so one of the things we always said we were going to look at, wasn't it, was around the function and how we go about importing the data that comes off the parkrun website. This week, we actually hit a turning point. So we hit week 40, so I need to build one. So what I was going to do is I thought I'll show you what I've got in the original. We'll go through the original and how much work's involved in updating that to a new 5-week period. And then I'll show you what I've done with the new one. And we'll go through and go, that's much better, I hope. So if I come down here, we're getting to Jasmine Dean. You can see we've got 36 to 40, yeah? So 40 will be there. What we need to do is prepare for 41. So we can do that now. So if we go in, so to do that, the first thing we need to do is export the JSON. So I'm going to export the JSON, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new data flow, import a model, and we're going to pick our JSON. Okay, dead easy. It's not even that much to it, is there? Come back out of here and you'll see we've got 36 to 41 too. So I'm going to hit that, go to properties, and here I'm just going to put the right name in. So if we zoom in a bit so you can see it, I'm going to put 41 to 45. Okay, and hit save. So there's not a lot to it in terms of setting that bit up, and that bit's never going to change. You're always going to have to do that. After that, you need to go in and edit the tables, right? And this is where you'll start to see the differences. So we've got all our steps in there that we go through, everything we do to import all the events. And what I've done for these is we've got an event number at the beginning. So all I'm doing is going to go through, rename each table so it's got the right name. So this is going to be 41, sorry. And then I'm going to change this to be 41. Do the same for the next one. So again, rename that 42. Select on event number and put in 42. Okay, so I'll go on, I'll do the rest of it. We'll catch up at the end. All right, so we've got them all done now. Okay, so what you'll see is that these will load, but there'll be no data in them. Okay, because there's nothing. There hasn't been any of these events yet. But you can pre-stage and you can prepare everything for it. So what we'd have to do now is drop these 5 tables into our PBIX file that we've got. Or if we were using a premium workspace and actually combining everything in the service, which as I said, we'll look at doing for this if we really want to drag out an extra week. But you could then import that and all have that prepared. So you've got, this is our master data set. So it's not a hugely lengthy process to do that, but it's a bit of a chore, isn't it? So what have I done for the new stuff? So for the new stuff, you can see I've kind of prepared because I've thought, well, we're going to go over 100 now, aren't we? So we're going to go over. So in theory, this numbering will take us up to 999, event 999. So we're already streets ahead with that one, aren't we? So let's download, export the JSON again. New data flow, import the model, and it's going to be this one, isn't it? Right. Okay, close that. First thing we need to do, remember, is rename it. So we can do that. I need 041 to 045. right? Hit save. And now let's go in and see what's the difference between what I've done now. It's one table, right? Difference number one, there's one table, which makes it much easier when you're doing the combinations or the combine. Now, this is one that's evolved, so you can see I've got some things that have gone in before it as I've gone through, and I've been working through trying to figure out the right way to do it. But essentially what's happening here is if we go to the start, see we've got an event number, okay? So we've got a parameter here. So all we need to do here is change this parameter to 40 and hit apply. And then let's rename this table just so that when we're coming to find it, it makes sense. 041 to 045. Oh, I said 40, didn't I? So you see, it's pulled in the results for 40. But we meant 41, didn't we? So I'm going to go 41. So what's happening now, the way I've written this, okay, is we're creating, we've got a start, and we're then using that to build a sequence, okay, of 5 numbers. I'm using 5 because, as I say, 5 I've had success with in the past. It might well be with parkrun we can get away with 10, might get away with 15, but 5 works. So, you know, we can do that. You could, with this, you could play around with it a bit and tweak it. So from there, we built a table. If we look at the steps, we've built a table and we've invoked this custom function. And this custom function is the key, isn't it? So I've gone through, I've built an extraction. This is what a single week extraction will look like. We've built all that and we've encased it in a function. So it'll then go through and do that. So you end up with something like that. And then if we looked at one of the earlier ones, which I'll do after this, let's go to save and close. And we'll go into one of the previous ones. You can see the way it's working is it's going away and it's going to treat each row effectively as a table in its own right. So we're going to invoke this custom function. Remember, each row just has a number, right? And that number is going to be what becomes our event ID. So what number event are we looking at? And if we click on any one, we can see this is what it's retrieved. So we've got that full record, and then all it's doing is it's appending them all because it's already as rows. So that table becomes part of a row, as it were, with an event ID on the left-hand side. It's all there. Everything's done, built, dead easy, and all that to change was one parameter. So I think you'll agree, this is probably a nice, quicker, more efficient way. If you had to go through and do, you know, to get up to your event 2 to 300, we could do it this way without really getting too annoyed. Remembering that you probably want to come in, do one, go away, come back, do another, because you're going to hit your limits with how many refreshes you can do. But, you know, somebody might want to go experiment and come back and put in the comments down below, hey, I was able to pull X amount, right? For me, 5's worked because, as we say, for now, when I was initially doing it, obviously I was doing lots and lots of testing and validation. So it probably is a lot higher than 5. So the function that we've written is this here, okay? So it's this get results, okay? Function get results. Now, functions in data flows can be tricky. So you do kind of need to get to the point where you know what you're doing. But in essence, this function, you could copy the elements of this. Yeah, because it's a nested, you need to think of them as a nested let or a nested query, right? So this is a query that we in theory, well, not in theory, you can copy this out, set this up, make it work, get all the data through that you want for your report and paste it in. So if we come back and we say, oh, we need to update something, right? We'd go away, we would do that and put it back, okay? And this way, you can always make sure this is up to date and doing what you want. So if anything goes wrong, oh, it's not right, fix it. Downside of doing this function is it's a pain if it ever really goes wrong and we'll have to rewrite everything because it's, okay, so I'm going to go and update every function in the 5 with that or in the groups with it. Nice thing with the data flows though is obviously you can copy and paste things out. So I could go in, grab all the text, go to the next one, paste it in, just notepad, do. Not great, but it'll work. So what have you reckon then? Okay. The challenges that you'll face when you come to publish your report content is always the same, isn't it? If you're replacing something, it's how do you schedule that? How can you manage that time to replace? Within an app, you've got the capability of toggling things to show in the app, showing the show and not show within the app. You can also use menus or archived areas to say, well, this is the archived version. You can then decide the archive is going to be visible for X many days, cut it off, put a banner on. So we'll think what we're going to do. What I'll probably do is put a link on the original report to say, go to the new one when the time comes to do the cut over, and we'll stop the refresh cycle on that one. And we'll say, look, you need to come to the new report. We'll update all the links on our Facebook group and everything to the new report. But it's that whole consideration piece that you need to do. You need to be thinking through, how is my release cycle going to work? There's no real hard and fast rules. I wish there were, right? But it's always about, remember that communication is never 100%. So if people don't know that the report is updated or that it's going to change, it'll be a surprise to them. Power BI, okay, and I've had this so many times in my life that it's become ingrained with me, right? For your user base, whatever you do, right, ignore everything I've said up to now. If there's one thing you have to remember, right, make sure your user base always bookmarks https app.powerbi.com/home. Put it there, okay? If they bookmark reports, if they bookmark workspaces, bookmark apps, right? If you check those, they all contain like weird chains of numbers, yeah? GUIDs, globally unique identifiers. In theory, those should never change, but there's no reason why they shouldn't ever change, if I'm right. I know what I'm saying. So don't bookmark them. Bookmark the homepage in Power BI so that you go to your homepage and then use your homepage. Mark things as favorites. Your recents will obviously always be there. If there's a report that, I need to use this every 6 months, mark it as a favorite so it's there as a favorite for you. Your recents will still be there as well. It's something, that's how you need to get your people to work. Everything else is doomed to failure, right? It's doomed, I say, doomed. Okay? So with that cheery note, why don't you think about having a nice park run or walk around the park this weekend? Yeah. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Ta-da.